Hey, Nancy, welcome back to the podcast.
Yay, I'm so glad to be back. It's so exciting to be in the podcast business.
It's so good to have you back. I've been meaning to pick your brain for a while and get you on the record.
2020 on the record, OMG, epic.
Yeah.
And I have two questions for you.
What's that?
One, this is not personal, family-wise, because we already know you got a new baby and nothing's going to beat that. But in 2020, politically, what was your top pet peeve? And in 2020, what was the thing that brought you the most joy on the world scene or politically? Let's start with pet peeve.
My pet peeve. In the political world.
Yes.
Ooh.
Or just in the world in general or the political world. What is your pet peeve for 2020?
Pet peeve for 2020. I think this is tied kind of political, but the reason why politics has become so polarized, I believe, is the mainstream media. The divide, the chaos that they've really created, the distrust. It's just so polarized now that Fox now seems like it's a reasonable channel, right? You wouldn't have said that a couple of years ago, right? They were so polar opposites when you looked at so many of them, but it seems like it's Fox versus the rest right now, right? And that's where a lot of people unfortunately get their news and media from. But I have to say it's leading to a rise in independent YouTubers or journalists, and there's alternative media now growing, and I just hope more people turn to them and move away from all of the CNNs, the MSNBC, Fox, all of them. I think if they die a slow death, I'm not going to be shedding any tears.
This is the fascinating thing about that. I have friends on every side, every extreme, every fringe, every conspiracy, and every main line. I have friends. And the fascinating thing is they are living in alternative realities. They live in realities that do not match. They don't intersect. It is amazing. And what they do is they are now going to their media, Newsmax, News Ammo, One America, Fox, to get their echo chamber news. And the other side is going to CNN, MSNBC, New York Times for their reality. The interesting thing is, if I will say to somebody, but CNN said we had 320,000 people dead, and they're like, the other side, the conservatives, the alt-right, is like, you don't believe CNN, do you? Are you kidding me? Yeah. And if I said to my friends on the left, One America is reporting gross voter fraud at the level of they're like, you don't listen to that crap, do you? So they do not even believe the facts that are printed in either side of the divide. So we now have a nation that's living in separate realities, and they have no common ground. They have no intersection. And I wonder how long a country can really live, exist, thrive when the divide is like the Red Sea. It is almost insurmountable at this point.
Well, what if it's by design? What if that division, a lot of people are profiting off it, or making careers off it, or enjoying it? Right?
I'm sorry, but that is brilliant. Of course, you are brilliant. That is by design, because as long as we are fighting each other on statues, on COVID, on this and that, we take our eyes off of, we're still bombing other countries.
Oh, well, that's the crazy thing.
Trump didn't get us into any new wars, but he's bombing just as much as Obama did.
Well, yeah.
And to make matters worse, Obama had, I think it was in his last year, second to the last year of his presidency, he made a law that said we have to be transparent overseas and give an estimate to the public of how many people we have droned, killed, bombed, how many civilians we've accidentally killed. Donald Trump did away with it.
Yeah, it's insane.
Transparency away, so we don't even know how many people we're bombing. But the bombing continues while we fight Mickey Mouse against each other. And our military budget, it doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump who raised it, military industrial complex, biggest budget in the history of the world. They didn't even ask for it. He gave it to them. And it doesn't matter if it's Barack Obama doing it, George Bush doing it, they all do it. They feed and kiss the ass of the military, the generals, they keep bombing, and the middle class can go to hell. $600 we're going to get after how many months in the new stimulus when the Roman Catholic Church got $2 to $4 billion in the first stimulus, according to Forbes. Why does the Catholic Church, the largest organized pedophile ring in the world, why do they need $2 to $4 billion of stimulus money?
Well, what's even I shouldn't say even, it's just as crazy, is the US gives more money to foreign governments than they give to their own people during a pandemic. The $600 stimulus check fades in comparison to the amount of money that's doled out every year to foreign nations.
As long as the corporations, big pharma, Wall Street, the military, as long as they're taking care of the middle class, be damned. They can ship the jobs out to third world countries. They can destroy Detroit, city after city after city. Who cares? The middle class be damned. And Trump talks about the middle class. Obama talks about the middle class. Biden talks about it. But do we ever have single payer universal health care? Never. Never.
It's one thing that I think I've learned in 2020 is that you can't trust anything. It's so hard to believe anything these days. There's so much mistrust now in otherwise, what were trustworthy institutions in a way, right? Right. It wasn't that long ago that you would trust what your doctor said, right? You probably did, to some degree, trust the CDC or the WHO, right? But not anymore. You've seen so much flip-flop and changes of opinion and changes in policy that you look at things now, and when someone makes a statement, be it a doctor or the president of the United States, you're thinking to yourself, I don't know how much of this to believe. How much do you take with a grain of salt?
Yeah. And Stephen, to me, the seminal example of what you are saying is when early on in the pandemic, I want to say maybe February, March, Dr. Fauci, the head of the CDC, got on and said, America, you don't need to wear masks. Masks aren't going to help you at all. Don't even worry about it.
They might make you feel better. That's what he said.
At that time, he knew for a fact that masks were effective against viruses. That's why surgeons wear them. That's why nurses wear them. Masks, he knew that. He said that to the American people because he did not want them going out and gobbling up the masks and the protective equipment so that healthcare professionals would not have enough. He lied to us. He knowingly, willfully lied to us. And he later said, I knew they worked, but I was afraid that the people would go out and don't lie to us, Dr. Fauci. Tell us, don't go out and get masks because we need them right now. Don't lie to us. But when you effing lie directly to the people, knowing that you're lying, and then you kind of laugh about it a couple months later and go, I knew it wasn't true, but it's not a joke when you lie to the American people about something that serious. And you're right, Stephen. I'm never going to believe anything he says. Yeah. Why? He's a liar. Proven.
They're the consequences, right, of lying. They're
the consequences of lying. Now, do we get to do my pet peeves?
Oh, please. Yeah.
Okay.
You asked me two, though, right? What was the second one? Pet peeve.
The second one, we're going to get to that.
Okay, you go first.
What is the thing you love the most politically or on the world scene in 2020? What was the best thing that happened in 2020? Okay, I'm going to do my peeve.
Okay.
I can love with all my heart somebody who loves Trump. I have lots of friends who adore Donald Trump, who think he's on the order of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. I can love them. I can love a born-again Christian. Harder, but I can do it. I can love them because many of them have good hearts and they just want to love people and forgive people. I can love them. I can love atheists. I can love agnostics. I can love communists. I can love socialists. I can love liberals, conservatives, alt-right, Steve Bannon types. I can love everybody. But when the anti-maskers go out in public without a mask, I want to punch them in the nose. I do not know what it is. I cannot forgive them. I do not love them. I want to punch them in the keister. And that's not even me. I'm a loving person. But there's something about it. And then the biggest anti-maskers are Christians. And which just kills me because Jesus said, no greater love does a man have for his brother than he's willing to lay down his life for his brother. No greater love than to lay down they won't even put a damn mask on for their brother. Give me a break. Every single time you refuse to wear a mask because of my liberty, my freedom, it's all about you. And it's not about the grandmother, the Tia, the great aunt, the chronically ill person. It's about selfish you. That is my pet peeve.
Interesting. There's definitely another side to that one. So what do you say to the people that don't believe the masks do anything?
What?
There are people out there that really believe the masks do not protect you, and it's just a charade. So they don't feel like they're putting you at greater risk, though. In their mind, if you're wearing a mask does nothing, well, might as well just not wear one, right?
And this is what I say to them. There are way more studies out there because this is what I do every day.
Yeah.
Way more studies that say they do prevent the virus.
It reduces risk for sure.
Yeah. And every single major hospital in the world, all the surgeons, all the surgical nurses, all the people on the COVID infectious wings, they all wear them, every single one. So this is what I would say to those people. All right, you have a few studies by weird, off-the-wall dentists, veterinarians, homeopathic people, as opposed to the National Institute of Health, Johns Hopkins, Cleveland Clinic, but you've got your little echo chamber. Okay, so it's 20, 80, 10-90, but let's just say it's 50-50. What if you're wrong? You should put the mask on just in case you're wrong, and you might be saving people's lives.
Yeah.
You can't be 100% sure. I'll even admit I can't be 100% sure. So put the mask on just in case. That's what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Nancy.
Thank you.
So what's your happy thought?
My happy thought is along the same lines. When I go out to Over the Rhine, to Findlay Market, which is a farmer's market in our town, that lots and lots of people, it's outside, well, it's inside and outside, but outside, where nobody has to wear a mask. There's nobody checking you. There's 100% compliance outside in my city, hundreds of people, 100% outside wearing masks. Every time you put on a mask, you say, every time you do this, you say, I care about my neighbor. I care about the old people. I care about the chronically ill, because we know the masks are more to protect others than they are to protect you. So every time we put a mask on, we are saying, I care about you. I'm thinking about somebody other than myself. And to me, that the whole earth is doing that, except for the anti-maskers. But it's such a beautiful thing. It's almost like training us to love other people and to think about other people. And that brings me such happiness.
It's always great getting your perspectives, Nancy.
Thank you.
I'm racking my brain to think of what's something politically positive that happened.
That's hard. That is very, very difficult, arduous, challenging.
Yeah, it's been a tough one. I think it touches on what I said before. Even though there's been a lot of distrust in the media, I like seeing all these independent pundits coming out. So I listen to Jimmy Dore, Tim Pool, even Crystal Ball and Saga and Jetty on Rising. There's Kyle Kalinske. There's a few personalities on YouTube with quite large followings that definitely have an independent thought or an independent way of looking at both sides of the political spectrum, making observations and opinions. And I've really enjoyed listening to them over any of the mainstream media. If anything, I might consume a few minutes of mainstream TV or news, but most of the time when I get the chance, I'm on YouTube. I don't know about you, Nancy, but I'm not sure where you're getting your news and articles from. But yeah,
I am a YouTube girl
it's
through
YouTube
and
now.
through. Yeah, YouTube girl through and through. Yeah. Now, are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't? I don't. Oh, you said yours. Okay.
Yeah.
That we're going. The best thing is we're broadening our base of where we get our information.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Now, our biggest WTF.
Whoa. Does it have to be political?
No.
So with the lockdowns, there's been a silver lining for me. I had a COVID baby, right? So less travel for me, less time in the office.
We need to say his baby did not have COVID.
No.
It was born during COVID.
So I call it, yeah. Little Hannah Banana was born in May. So that was a silver lining. But the WTF for me was how quickly our freedoms could be taken away and how quickly you can take stuff for granted. Like, as an example, having Hannah, I wanted to obviously share that with my family, but I can't go back home to Australia. not unless I want to quarantine for a few weeks in a hotel and pay, $3,000 for accommodation and food, and then potentially have to quarantine again when crossing state borders and a whole lot of nonsense. My mum can't travel here either. I don't want to put her at risk. Not being having stay-at-home orders, people not being able to travel because they're not essential workers, businesses being closed down, and the hypocrisy that's going on out there with that. So for me, the WTF was, I think I'm becoming more of a libertarian and wanting less government when shit like that happens. But how quickly our freedoms can be taken away, and how easy it is to get people's compliance with it as well. So that was a big WTF for me, because who knows what the future might hold or the years to come if it's that easy, rightly or wrongly, right, to shut down borders, to shut down travel, to shut down work, to dictate from state to state what's essential and what's not. For me, that's just been the wildest ride of all.
Stephen, along those lines, we have to add into that the shutting down of free speech.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Yeah. YouTube channel after YouTube channel, Facebook page after Facebook page, Twitter account. If you do not think like the mainstream media, like the left, your freedom of speech will be taken away. You will be shut down. You will be banned. You will go away. That is, we are having right in front of our eyes. And I know that it's happening to the conservatives and to the alt-right, but the liberals, if you value freedom of speech, you should be concerned, because if it can happen to conservatives, if it can happen to any American, it can happen to you. We no longer have this beautiful freedom of speech where we can say what we think. We have to say what is politically correct, or we will be banned.
Canceled.
Perfect. Yes, canceled. Perfect example, Cincinnati, Ohio. Tinfoil Society of Cincinnati, Ohio, founded by me and gone. I don't even know what. We had 500 people from Cincinnati basically on that page. I don't even know what we did wrong.
Questioning the election.
Yeah, they just said, well,
I think that was it.
No, it was before that.
Oh.
We were taken down before that. It wasn't even that. It just said, you violated our community standards. You're gone. Goodbye.
Wow.
No means of appeal. But its freedom of speech is going away unless you think a certain way, which goes along with what you're saying. Freedoms taken away.
One thing that I think gives us hope is that the US has always had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I think in the near future, I can't imagine this not happening, is the rise of alternative businesses, alternative models that will rival those like the YouTubes and Facebook of the world. So I really do believe if they continue down that path of censorship the way they are, I think they're putting people offside on both sides of the political spectrum, because you're infringing on freedom of speech, which I think is something that both sides of the political spectrum hold dearly. So I can't imagine that there won't be an alternative to these platforms. At the end of the day, they're just businesses, and they do come and go. And if someone comes along with hopefully a better model, or something that could rival them but uncensored or unfiltered, they're going to have their day.
All right, my WTF is WTF America. You always have to hate someone. You always have to have an enemy. For the liberals, it was Russia collusion. Russia's horrible. Now Russia has cyber hacked all of our institutions. The conservatives, the Trumpers, China, the Kung Fu, the China flu. We have to always hate. The interesting WTF is we never look at hating ourselves for our opioid epidemic, which has killed millions based on greed of the families of the big pharma that pushed it, knowing how addictive it was for profits. They didn't care who got addicted. We do not care that we had weapons of mass destruction that was a lie. And we went in and we destroyed Iraq. And what happened when we destroyed Iraq? When the bombs were dropping, we were killing tens of thousands. Do you know what America said? Shock and awe. We pounded our chests. We were so proud. We were bombing another country like it's sick. We've destroyed Libya. We've destroyed Afghanistan. We've destroyed Syria in part, Libya in part, Iraq all the way. And nobody ever looks at us and says, you are disgusting, America. We have got 800 military bases in 100 different countries that we fund so that we can control them, have hegemony over them, imperialism over them. Russia has, less than 20 bases outside of Russia. China, even less than that. They don't go destroying other countries to the degree we have, not even 100, not even, and we spy on other countries. Quit whining that China hacked in. How many countries have you hacked into, America? I mean, get a grip. We need to take care of our infrastructure, our skid row, our lack of health care, our Congress that is nothing more than bought and sold whores to the corporation and corporate money. We need to clean up our own house before we start pointing fingers at other countries.
You might be asking for too much, Nancy.
I know. I know.
We could only hope there's a bit more compassion and empathy in the world. That could go a long way in politics.
Yeah. So, was that our 2020 roundup?
Well, yeah, for now. There's still a few more days left in the year. Anything can happen.
We have to do another one on the election. Our next one has to be on the election.
You got it.
That is, if we were doing WTF, we have to do a OMG, and the election is a OMG.
I'd love to. It's always great. Right. It's always great to hear from you, Nancy. All right. Love you, Nancy. Bye.
I love you too.